Hello friends, welcome. I'm Neil Cooper, a Reiki master and teacher from the south coast of England in the United Kingdom. And today I'm going to just tell you about my experiences and excuse me. Reiki originally came from Japan, and it's a very ancient method of healing, but was rediscovered by Mikao Usui, a Buddhist monk, in the 1920s. So it had been like a lost art for thousands of years. And he found scripts written by Buddhas in the past and stuff about 2,600 years ago of a healing ability, which they called the lightning flash, or more commonly, the bright shining light. So it was the energy of light that could heal. And the actual master symbol in Reiki, the modern master symbol, the name of it means bright shining light. So that's what we envisage when we sign in the Reiki symbols. We always sign them all in and draw them in light, in Reiki energy. So it empowers them, and we invoke them 3 times with their name and draw them in, and draw them with Reiki energy. And the master symbol, which is only used by masters, Reiki masters, is the most powerful of all, and it contains all the other symbols in it as well. So they only really have to ever use that one, although I still use them all because they're all good to use. So it's a beautiful system. And in 1995 I had my spiritual awakening with Peter Citadel, the Son of God, and it was great. And he taught me, spiritual healing, but not to start off with. And I went out and experienced it on my own to start off with, healing people. And I healed this lady in the church, and I only healed her for about 30 seconds. And most healings are like 15 to 30 minutes long at least. And I run my hands down her, and I said, "What's wrong with you?" She said everything, but she said, "I got a really chronic neck." I run my hands down her and back up again. I said, "That should do." But Father God was helping me in my awakening. He let me heal her very powerfully. And about an hour after I'd come away and finished healing her and come back home to Peter's, where I was lodging, my neck started to get really bad because I'd used my own energy. I hadn't channeled it from Father God or the universe, which would have been Father God at that time I channeled it from. And I got this really stiff neck for a couple of hours, and then it slowly went off. And sort of mentioned it to Peter, and he said, "The lady you healed is actually a lot better." Yeah, because I took on her problems. So we can make these mistakes, so we should always channel from the source energy, wherever you believe that is, the universe, God. It doesn't matter as long as it works. It doesn't matter where it comes from. If you believe it's a pebble on the beach somewhere and it still works, it doesn't matter, does it? So yeah. Now I've performed some miracles as well, and truly were miracles. But I'd like to tell you about my Reiki systems that I've learnt, because in 2015, or a couple of years before that, I was really interested with learning with my friend who's living over at Worthing. I'm in Bognor Regis, and that's about half an hour by car away. And I didn't have a car then, and I didn't want to travel on the train because I got agoraphobia, fear of leaving this town. And but when I got a car in late 2014, 2015, she posted on Facebook she was doing a Reiki course for Reiki 1, and I said, "Can I come?" And she said, "Oh no, I really haven't got room." She only had 2 students, but it was the first time she'd been doing it in multiples. And then about half an hour later, she rang back and said, "Oh yeah, of course you can come." So I went over and started it, and within a couple of weeks, I'd absolutely fell in love with Reiki. So this first system I learnt with Sarah, well, she's on YouTube, Sarah Louise Tilsley, look her up. I managed to persuade her as well, amongst others, to get on YouTube and start doing it. And she's got a good channel. So I went over there and I fell in love with Reiki. It was, loved it far better than spiritual healing, which I've been doing since 95. So 2015 started that. A couple of weeks I was in love with it. But it was reiki-seichem. So Reiki is the Japanese healing system of energy healing. It's chi healing, or ki they call it in Japan, life force energy. Chi is life force energy. So what we do is we heal a person, we channel the life force energy into them, and it also removes negative energy out of them. So some's coming through you and some's going back to the universe to be cleansed and reused, or to God, whichever you want to believe in. So that was my first system, reiki-seichem. And I didn't really, Seichem sort of Egyptian healing that's been sort of, cobbled together with Reiki, and I didn't like the Seichem so much. I was more like true to the Reiki side of it, and Sarah sort of sussed that out as well. But I loved it all the same, and I went through Reiki 1 with Sarah in 2015. Late 2015 I did Reiki 2 with her. Then in 2016 I did Reiki Master level, and then Reiki Master Teacher later than that in 2017. But I've since gone on to learn a couple of other systems since then, because I was so true and devoted to Reiki. I did so much research on traditional Reiki, and Mikao Usui, who rediscovered Reiki in the 1920s, had created his own system which was called Usui Shikyu Ryoho Reiki, and it's much more traditional than and true to the form of true Reiki. And so I learnt that online, and had an attunement to it and everything as well from the person, and it was very powerful, the attunement. And that was just Reiki Master level. I didn't need to take the other levels, although I've got Reiki 1, 2 and Reiki Master in it. I have, so I got all 3 levels. But really, as a Reiki Master, you only ever really have to take a Reiki Master level to be appropriate. But it's good to learn all the teachings. And then more recently this year, in January of 2024, I did Holy Fire Reiki, which was developed by William Lee Rand and others. And it uses holy fire, which was in the Bible as well, but it's Usui Holy Fire Reiki, so it incorporates Reiki and holy fire, and it's mostly used to heal through the aura, and you do it in the way you want to. It uses the Reiki symbols. So Reiki 1 students don't get the symbols. Reiki 2 students get the Reiki 2 level students symbols, which are 3 of them. And then Reiki Masters are given the Reiki Master symbol. And some of them go on to learn teaching, or it's already incorporated in the master level to the teaching level. So I did that. They're all teacher level I've learnt to. So I learnt Ryoho Reiki to teacher level, and I've learnt Holy Fire Reiki to teacher level, as well as reiki-seichem. And, I love it. And, it's great. And, if you go to my website, which is in the links below, you can go and have a look at that page. Just search miracles. It's I've put about the Reiki miracles, which I'll speak about in a minute. Just write that in the search box and you'll find it, and it's got my certificates on there, on that page, further down the page. So yeah, I love these systems, and it's nice to add things to you that you find useful. And I've started using the Holy Fire Reiki, so I start off quite often with the original traditional Reiki, Usui Reiki, and then use a bit of the violet flame, which I learnt which was not Reiki or Seichem really. It's something that some Reiki systems teach, the violet flame, which transmutes negative energy to positive energy in a person. So it's a good thing for cleansing, good thing for, changing negative energy and thought patterns into positive ones. And use that usually in my healings from reiki-seichem and mostly traditional Reiki. And then the last 10 minutes I start doing Holy Fire Reiki now, of a 30-minute session. And then I start incorporating traditional Reiki in for the last 5 minutes as well. So I've got one hand in the aura doing Holy Fire, and another hand maybe on their crown chakra on their head, putting traditional Reiki in, and they mix and merge very well and work together very good. So it's always good to add these feathers to our cap. And it's lovely. Now I've actually managed to do 2 miracles myself, and had one done to them myself. And I was just in my awakening in 1995, and went to see somebody, and their son had a a verruca on his foot, which had been there a long time. He was 6, 7 years old. And I healed him for literally, I didn't know what I was doing. I healed him literally for about 3 minutes. And that was it. God did a miracle through me. Because the next morning, and verrucas do not get better without treatment generally, do they? But the next morning, it ejected the core. The whole of it came out, and it healed and got better. So that was truly a proof from Father God in my waking that he can do miracles through us if he so chooses to do so. Then my second miracle was in about December of last year, 2023. I was teaching I've only taught 2 Reiki masters. This was the second Reiki master I've taught. I gave her a 30-minute healing, and she had an incurable osteoporosis, I think it was. Incurable it is, and osteoporosis. And it's incurable. And I healed her for 30-minute healing, I think it was. And God decided to give her a miracle because she's such a devoted student. She's so devout to it. And she's gone on and done loads of good things. And she's done a miracle or 2 as well. Yeah. She had a dog that was going to be put down, and she healed it, and it was okay the next day. So it's fine. It's been fine since. So it had a blockage in its bowel, and they said inoperable, got to be put down. So she said, don't put it down, I'll heal it. And she did a miracle. So, but that was my second miracle. She's cured of it. She's had no problems. She could hardly walk. Her legs were bandaged. They were all blotchy, and she was having a struggle getting upstairs to bed. It was lower back as well, terrible problems. She's been fine since. That's been, 6 months now, I guess, getting on that way or longer. And, she's cured of it. So incurable things can be cured if you've got enough faith and belief. And she deserved that because of the amount of good she was doing in the world herself and how far she's taken Reiki, because I taught her Reiki 1, 2 and Reiki Master level. And she's absolutely gone flying with it, and she's done so many healings, helped so many people through some terrible situations they're going through with healing and with her wisdom and kindness. And it comes down to devotion in her case. So it's wonderful. Now, the third miracle happened was in 2023 in August. I had my friend, the first Reiki master I taught, come down and visit for a weekend. And of course we were doing healings to each other. And she healed me on the second day, on the Sunday. And she was going home on the Monday. She healed me on the Sunday for about 30 minutes. And I got up on the Monday and I had maybe 9 months earlier, done some press-ups, and I'd really injured my elbow, and I had water on the elbow, and it was massively swollen up like this. It was about 1 inch to 1.5 inches off of my bone, off of my elbow, swollen, with fluid on it. And it's still marked up. You can still see there's a bit of a mark there, but it's where I was leaning on it too much, and I damaged it. And there was no way that was ever going to get better because I drained it twice with a syringe myself. I'd taken all the fluid out every time within 2 or 3 days, swollen straight back up again. So it was damaged and it was not going to get better. And I got up the next day and I just happened to touch it and go, look, to her. I said, look, it's cured. I said, you've done a miracle on me. And it truly was a miracle because that was never going to get better. That's the 3 miracles, And Mikao Sui, who went up a mountain for a 21-day fast. He come down from that mountain and he performed 4 miracles on the way down. He stubbed his toe and he healed it, and it was cured within 30 seconds or more. And the innkeeper's daughter on the way down, where he had a big meal on the way down, which he was told not to have it make him seriously ill, which didn't. So that was the second miracle. But before that, the innkeeper's daughter had a really bad toothache. He healed it for a few minutes and it was cured. And then he went down, and the abbot's wife was truly sick, and he healed her and she was cured. So he did 4 miracles, you know what I mean? And there were proofs to him of the true power of healing. Reiki, whatever you call it. Spiritual healing, Reiki, pranic healing, chi healing. Doesn't matter what you call it. It's all coming from the same source. It's healing energy. So there's no one better system than others. There's just different approaches and different ways of doing it. And really, Reiki's lovely. I love it. And, we use the symbols and say, why do you need symbols? Some of them say. But they are your intention to heal a certain area on a person, because you can draw them into a certain area like the power symbol, or you can give them mental emotional healing with the mental emotional symbol, or distant healing with the distant symbol, or the master symbol if you're a Reiki master to send the most powerful level of healing to a person. And Reiki masters should always heal from the heart. Because that is a powerful thing, love, because it transmutes that energy and transmits it at a far stronger, having compassion, but preferably love, it transmutes it into that person with care. And that's like having a cuddle with a parent. It makes you feel so much better. So if you care when you send Reiki, it helps people a lot more to relax and feel happy. Anyway, that's a bit about my Reiki systems. I hope you're enjoying my videos. Check out the description, because it's got links to websites and different things on there. And take care. Love and light. Neil.